Hey guys, it's your girl Boonie, and you're listening to episode 84 of the Boonie Breakdown podcast. The podcast where we sometimes cry, we always laugh, we might get a bit ratchet, but we're forever gonna break it down. Your source for all things responsible and ratchet. Here we go, guys. Episode 2 of season 5. We are here. I am excited about this episode. I mean, it really is the perfect balance of responsible and ratchet, okay? My guest is Alex Fine. She's the CEO and co-founder of Dame Products. And some of you might be familiar with Dame Products. They were a sponsor of the first Boonie Live back in June of 2018. And I gotta say, I'm a fan. Alex, she's a credentialed sexologist, and she started Dame Products just because she wanted to make phenomenal sex toys that were not on the market. And so I must say, I have tried some of the products. They definitely are Boonie approved. And in this episode, we have a conversation about why Alex decided to start the company. What does she see lacking out there in the sex toy, space, and that she was the right one to create something new to bring to the market. We also talk about why is sexual pleasure taboo, and the responsible side of the conversation. We do have a conversation kind of about being censored and how, to change the conversation around, female pleasure. And so it was super dope. And because Alex is so bomb, she offered my listeners a bomb coupon code. So if you use the code Boonie, you will save money on your order. I highly recommend Eva 2. I want to get my hands on the palm, okay? So just make sure the link will be in the show notes and the code is Boonie. So just stick around for that conversation. I want to hop into Boonie's pick of the week this week. All right, you guys know this might be a self-care themed episode. Masturbation vibrators, and now my pick of the week. I love healing crystals. And so I was able to get a copy of Crystal Bliss by Devi Brown. And you guys know I like to shop for my crystals. But what I really liked about this book was that the way she broke down and made crystals easy and less intimidating. It was an excellent guide because it walks you through the process of what crystals to select. How do you cleanse your crystals? How do you prepare them for use? And kind of incorporating your crystals into your meditation and whatever your own energy healing practice might be. So check it out. It's very beautifully done. It's now available in a soft paperback version. You can grab your copy on Amazon, and I will link it in the show notes. Okay. Housekeeping. Just so you know, you guys probably have, by the time you're listening to this episode on January 28th, you have about one more week to get your orders in for Boonie's Ratchet Box of Love. Really excited about those. I'm happy about the orders that have come in. You guys are super dope for ordering and supporting. But if you would like your box to make it to you by Valentine's Day, then you need to order within the next week, okay? But if you just want to wait till later when things could, slow down for you, when you get that tax return, no judgment, okay? You can wait. It'll be up. It's on, you head to theboonieBreakdown.com/ratchet box, also linked in the show notes. All right, and as you know, it's time is coming for Boonie's Valentine's Day special with Brian. So if you still have those questions, the ones you guys have been sending in have been phenomenal. They're hilarious. I don't know how we're going to narrow down which ones we're going to answer on the episode, but keep sending those over. Head on over to theboonieBreakdown.com, hit the contact form. You can send it that way. You can DM it to me on Instagram. You can send a message on Facebook. You can shoot an email to theboonieBreakdown@gmail.com. So send those in. And lastly, because you guys know I love interacting with you on social. It's one of my favorite things to do. And so you can just follow us on Instagram at the Boonie Breakdown, on Facebook, the Boonie Breakdown, and on Twitter, we're Boonie Breakdown. These are all linked in the show notes. You go to the website, you can get access to all of the social media properties there as well. And when you're sharing this episode, make sure you use the hashtag the Boonie Breakdown and the hashtag PODIN, PODIN, okay? if your page is open and unlocked, I always try to comment, share, like, whatever. I will engage with you if I can, if your page is open. So that is it for me, guys. Okay, let's get ready to break it down. Okay, guys, it's your girl Boonie, and I am excited for my guest today. I don't know, do you want to say Alex or Alexandria? What are we going to go by for this?
Oh, I'm going to pick Al because I feel like we already have good rapport, and all my like close friends call me Al. But
awesome. So we have Al.
Name is Alexandra.
Yeah. And so it's Alex. I'll do the formal. So this is Alexandra Fine. She's one of the co-founders of Dame Products. So I want to welcome you to the Boonie Breakdown.
Thank you.
If you came to the first live show I had back in June of 2018, you might be familiar with the products because Dame was really awesome and sent us some awesome giveaways for the show. I was already a fan because I already owned the Eva.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that later. But some of you walked away with some cool prizes from the first live show. So thank you guys. I just want to get right into it.
Mm-hmm.
How did you decide that you wanted to start a sex toy company?
That's a great question. I think there were other things actually that I decided first, which was like that I wanted to start a company. Like I knew I wanted to work. I wanted to be a sex therapist originally, and then I realized, like, you know what? There was so much school involved, and I don't do great with authority, and I wanted to get out there in the world and do something. I was like, when I graduated school, I was 22. I went to grad school. I was like 23, 24, feeling like my friends were starting to do things in the world and realized, okay, I don't want to get my PhD and be a sex therapist. I want to like do something already. And I ended up working in consumer goods, and I loved entrepreneurship. Like I loved working in this really small company, trying to make something happen, like sharing a product that we believed was valuable to the world.
Okay.
And I loved that. I just wanted to do it for myself. And all my ideas, so I had this like little book, and all my ideas were sex toy ideas, essentially. Because everyone's always interested in that part. But I don't know, I was just like born kind of horny or something. So all of that. And then I like just had this, so I had this little book where I wrote down my ideas, and then I started working on them. And like by taking apart other vibrators in my apartment and putting them together with like new plastic molds I'd find, or like molding products. And I got fired from that shampoo job, which was also really helpful in starting my own business. And then I really just dove into the sex toys that I was already kind of just designing. I'm trying not to say like as much too in this interview.
It's so hard. So is my word, which I try to be mindful of because I'll be like, so. But yeah, so is my word.
I'm like, yeah, so, well, like.
It's a tough filler. You don't have a background in engineering.
No,
but you were able to start making prototypes, essentially, is what it sounds like you were doing.
Yes. I will say, so I have these two feelings, which is on the one hand, my art degree, I have a minor in fine arts. And what I learned in art school is how to create, which is a really beautiful skill set. I had teachers who showed me how to use library or the internet to discover materials and how to make things and how to think about what I was trying, like, what was I trying to design for and why? So that art degree was really helpful in engineering and making and not being afraid of learning how to solder or whatever that was. But then on the flip side, oh man, I found an engineer who happens to be amazing, and boy, is she amazing. And having like a real engineer on staff, I think makes our products just better. You know,
well, that was actually kind of cool because you found the yin to your yang a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I want to strangle my yang, but but mostly or oftentimes, or when I have perspective on the situation, I wouldn't be where I am right now without this other person. She is so smart. I'm so blessed that I found somebody else who at the time was passionate about making sex toys the way I was, an engineer, and had a vagina. Like all of those things together as like that's statistically, I just feel like that's how lucky am I?
So how did you come up with like your first your prototype? Like how did you decide like we want, because the Eva was the first one, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah. Okay. So I was actually working on Eva specifically before I met Janet.
Okay.
I really felt like that I had a few ideas, as I think it's like it isn't the wheel. Like there isn't just one way to make a vibrator. There's like these phallic objects that we often design them in, but there's a lot of ways of like cupping the mons pubis or providing clitoral stimulation that I felt like had hardly been explored. So I had this idea to provide clitoral stimulation in a way that didn't obstruct the vaginal canal at all. So there were a lot of couple toys out there already. The very popular ones are like vibrating cock rings, the Wii Vibe.
Yep.
Yeah, those are fun. They're all fun. There was also something, the Wii Vibe, which now there's a lot of, I'm going to go ahead and say knockoffs of, but they made this product that goes inside of the vagina along with the penis that wraps around and provides clitoral stimulation as well as internal stimulation. And I wanted to create a product that was half of that, a product that allowed me to have sex with my partner, where his penis would go in my vagina in a way where I could get clitoral stimulation from a vibrator, but as if like a fairy was just holding the vibrator.
Yeah, and that's what I like about it, because it's like hands free. You don't have it tucks in and it stays there, which is really dope.
It's amazing to see what your vulva can hold.
Yeah, it's really dope that you just like put it, you tuck it, and it works.
And by all means, if it doesn't work for you, that's totally fine. I don't want you to feel like your vulva isn't as strong as other people's. Everybody's vulva is different, and that's great. But if it does work for you, it is really cool. Like mine stays in place and like.
Yeah, mine does too.
Yeah.
And what I was going to say, because what I liked about it too is that sometimes, and it's so dumb, but some men, I won't say all, but some men get really intimidated when you try to introduce sex toys into your sexual activity. And what I liked was that with the Eva specifically, it doesn't take up any of the room for the penis.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly what I was trying to design. I feel like my partner didn't love cock rings because they apply a lot of pressure around the base of the penis, and he felt like that was uncomfortable and he wasn't looking for that experience. He didn't like it. He did like the vibration though, which it turns out some guys like the vibration. And also some guys love that pressure of a cock ring. Like that's why they're so popular. Everybody is just different. And so we tried that. And then we tried things that went inside of the vagina to give me clitoral stimulation. And he just did not like those. I didn't like them either because I felt like it was a lot of pressure. And so I didn't like the way that it was applying pressure. And also my mom was the one that had told me about it and she loved it.
Mom, I love it.
She doesn't know. She's always like, I can't believe we talk about this. And I'm always asking her questions. And she's like, you don't want to know, Alexandra. And I'm like, I do want to know. But she loves it. But I do think that speaks to the fact, like, I'm not trying to ever say that I tried this toy and it was awful. Like, it just didn't work for me where I am in my life with my partner. And I wanted to make a toy that was half of that provided clitoral stimulation, where my partner and I can use it. And he didn't feel a difference because he didn't like the experience of using that particular toy. And yeah, so I was like, how do I cut this product in half? And from there, I started thinking, how would I make something stay in place there? And how I have these folds and how maybe I can utilize those folds and tuck something underneath it.
Yeah, I think, I'll say job well done. I feel like I need to get an Eva 2 because it's waterproof.
Yes.
And that can provide a lot of other options.
I've learned so much from this company and having Dame Labs, which is this amazing community of women that, well, not just women, anybody with a vulva, and actually some penis havers too, where they respond to surveys and test our products for us. But it turns out, like, shower time and bath time for a lot of women, especially as they're older, is their only private time.
Yeah,
like, I mean, kids, like, you need a waterproof product.
Like, mommy's taking a shower, leave me alone. So you just mentioned testers. Like, if someone listening is interested, they want to sign up to be a tester. That's their lifelong, bucket list goal. How do they go about doing that?
You go to dameproducts.com/labs, which is this amazing community of human beings who, like, I will say we are a little like, oh my God, it's grown so much. So many people, like, we have 8,000 people who have signed up and thousands of them respond to our surveys and help us decide what products we should be focusing on next. And that is unbelievable.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I do take the surveys. They don't take a long time.
We try to keep them short.
But yeah, they do. They're pretty quick. And I think it was one you guys sent out recently. It was about masturbation.
Mm-hmm.
It really made me think about my masturbation habits, which then in turn made me want to spice up my masturbation some.
Yeah. So that's great. I hope we didn't make you feel like you have to.
No, it wasn't a have to, but it was just like,
you could.
Yeah, I just should. I feel like I should.
It's all the shoulds. I do really think though that if there was a should, if somebody was asking me personally for advice and for a should, I would say, yeah, I think it's important sometimes find the porn that gets you off, or that position that gets you off, or the toy, whatever it is. Sometimes you just need the easiest route to orgasm, and by all means explore that. Yeah. I do think it's also really it's a growth experience to find other ways to find that pleasure, because there's so many ways to find that pleasure.
I would agree. And I feel like, all of this talk about self-care and making time for yourself, I've been a huge advocate that masturbation should be one of those things. Like, if you're doing meditation or, some type of other act of mindfulness, mm-hmm. I think masturbation should be on that list too.
Totally. I think actually if you're having I like to meditate. I'm not the best practitioner, but I'm really into it. At least talking about it and reading about it, I'm really into. And then I do occasionally practice it. But sometimes what I find really helpful is actually when I can't get into it, when I'm having those days where, like, I just can't calm my mind down and meditate. And I find masturbation really helpful.
Yeah.
You want to get present, you want to stay in your body and try and like push away the other things. Masturbation is a really effective form of meditation. Is it a little bit like staring at a candle instead of focusing on your breath? Sure, but
and I think too, for me, sometimes it is truly, what's the word I'm trying to say? Like, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it's like I have very few nights where I can't quiet my thoughts and go to sleep. Very few. Mm-hmm. But the few moments that I do have that, it's like you said, I'll grab my phone, I'll go on Pornhub. Mm-hmm. This will do it. Okay. And bam, I'm going to sleep. Like I use it to put myself to sleep sometimes.
Totally.
But then other times it's a more thoughtful, I'm going to set the mood and do well and make myself feel well. So it just depends on what I'm in the mood for.
I'm trying to encourage people to, and I'm not saying I'm great at it, but like, I think that latter one, like there's one that feels like I'm scratching an itch and it's helping me fall asleep. And honestly, the sleep, that really resonates with me. Sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll start having anxieties about the things that normally when I'm awake and a normal person don't give me anxiety, mm-hmm. but they will in the middle of the night. And just being able to masturbate feels like the easiest way to calm those squirrely thoughts and center myself and also then like release energy and go back to sleep. And that, I mean, I'm not saying it's a 100% foolproof plan for everybody. I have not done the clinical studies, but it works for me.
Yeah. And I think that helps too when, you know, this whole conversation about sex being so taboo and pleasure and sexuality, especially for women, like how many women have never had, you know, orgasms or don't even know what that feels like. I don't understand how you aren't masturbating. Like you could have an orgasm if you would just fucking touch yourself.
You know, okay, but that's not 100% true. Well, you know, I gotta tell you, I know more and more people who have a hard time orgasming because, you know, now people really open up to me about it and they want to tell me about it and I want to hear them. And I have gotten less and less this response, but generally I'm always like, no, take your pants off. Let me at it. Like, no, you just have, like, I can do it. It's always, I still have that response. Like, let me show you. And I'm not even like a vulva expert. Like I try to be and then I design toys for it, but mostly my sexual experiences have been with penis havers, some with vulvas. But I still feel like, I'm going to make you feel relaxed. Like I just feel like a lot of women just can't feel relaxed and feel in their bodies. But I know a lot of women now too who just, they are relaxed. They're using the vibrators and they still don't really feel like they're having full orgasms or whatever that means. Well,
do you think part of that is like this conditioning of what we see an orgasm to be? Because I think that
I would like to hook them up. You know, I want to see if they're having contractions.
Yeah.
I want to know. I agree. And it's crazy to me that the research isn't there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm very curious if, you know, I remember being told, when you have an orgasm, you'll know it. But you know what? Sometimes I have orgasms that I feel like I miss. Like,
I've been there before. I will agree with you on that. Because I feel like not all orgasm are these truly powerful experiences that some are totally subtle. Honestly, some are totally subtle.
Yeah, when I talk to men, or in my experience, men feel the same way. They're like, yes, some orgasms are better than others. They're not all the same. But I think the difference for penis havers is that they see it. There's like this ejaculation
Yes,
where like they know they're missing it and they know they're having it, versus for women, sometimes all of a sudden there's this release of energy and you have a release, but you don't feel the release and enjoy it.
yeah, I would agree. Because it was like I remember reading, and this might maybe updated numbers, but it was in some survey that it was like 90 something percent of heterosexual men said that they always or usually have an orgasm. And the number for women was like closer to 60%.
Yes, that's exactly right. I think it's, oh man, I'm going to go ahead and pull out statistics that I do think are accurate in my head, which was like I think it's 96% compared to like 63 or 69 for some reason percent are always or often have an orgasm.
Yeah, that's like a huge disparity.
It's a disparity. I will also say though, I don't think I think that the concept of orgasm as this thing that means you had good sex or you didn't have good sex is also very, I think it's a main factor. Like, yes, for me, generally, when I think about whether or not I had good sex, the orgasm is an important aspect of it. But to focus entirely on that orgasm as like this binary aspect of sex, it feels a little male centric.
Yeah.
Or, I think for so many, my co-founder is anorgasmic, and she identifies as that. She has not experienced me yet, so we'll see.
I just learned that was a word. I learned something new. Yeah, I did not know that word.
That's she's, I'll have to ask her again, because for as close as we are, we don't always talk about everything. She still feels like she hasn't had this like real orgasm, but she's very sexual. And she also highly identifies as using toys to fall asleep. That's another thing that she has expressed as really important in her experience. Like she says, she has pleasure. It does relax her. I forget why I'm telling you about her personal experience right now. I hope it was for an important reason. But, that for her, she still has really great sex, and she has really, in fact, it sounds sometimes like maybe she has these longer and more robust experiences because she doesn't orgasm easily. And that's actually a really beautiful thing. It doesn't mean that it's not pleasurable.
Yeah. And I do think, in that whole conversation about, I think we get caught up in what is sex. And I think people get stuck in this kind of robotic recipe type of sexual situation. Like, I do this, you do that. Or at least in heterosexual relationships, I put my penis inside you. I'm going to thrust a few times. We might change a position and then we'll both have an orgasm and it's done. And I feel like, people should be able to explore other ways to have, sexual intimacy with a partner that doesn't always have to be a penis inside a vagina.
Yeah.
I do think we get stuck there a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I like snaps. I very much agree with that. I mean, I think that we identify the act of sex as this heteronormative experience that involves a penis getting hard, a penis going into a hole, that's generally a vagina, and then that penis ejaculating. Like, I think the penis is the main character in the story when we talk about sex.
Yeah. Everything revolves around the penis. Sadly.
I'm not going to lie. Sadly, I like penis.
I mean, I do too, so.
Right? So there's that, like,
and the crazy thing is, I don't think I've ever exclaimed this on my podcast, but as much as I enjoy a penis, a live penis, I don't really enjoy many sex toys that require insertion.
Okay. I have some toys I will send your way that I think aren't as great as the versions I'm going to make of them one day, of course. But what I have discovered and feel like I wouldn't have discovered if I hadn't gotten into this industry and wanted to try everything because it became part of how I make a living. I don't think I would have bought all the toys I bought, but now I'm like, oh, the more I know about this space, maybe.
Yes.
Right. It's my livelihood now. So I want to know everything, and therefore it's got more value.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. But that was something I had to like I kept buying like dildos and I'm just like, I don't really think I enjoy this the same.
Have you tried like any steel products?
No, but I was curious about glass.
So I think that I don't like, personally, I don't love hard products on my clitoris. I like soft, squishy things on my clitoris. But internally, I really like really hard, like not things that look like penises and have like a squishy, soft side to them, but glass products or steel products that have weight to them.
Okay.
And that weight, I can kind of push on my walls. Usually, like, I really love the ones that have curves because then it allows me to really apply pressure to my G-spot or any part of my walls that it's just so explorative. Okay. And the more I've become mindful in my sexual practices and try and like kind of like, what does it feel like if I push right here? Okay, now I'm going to push to the right side. Now I'm going to push down. Like, yes, that's not always like the sexiest moments of my masturbation practices, but like I've learned a lot from doing that. And I don't, I'm not, and that helps me in my relationship with my partner and explaining what I like.
I will say I have not tried that, but I've always wanted to order glass, but I don't know why I never pulled the trigger.
Do it.
This is peer pressure. But I will. Maybe I'll treat myself for the new year.
I'll send you some links of things that I think are reasonable and effective.
So we're going to come back to your products now. With your products, like how are you hoping to change this conversation some? Like based on all the stuff we were just talking about and female sexual empowerment, like what is your hope or your goal or your mission with creating your products?
I think my hope is to help people value their sexual experiences. I want people to know that sex can be fun. Masturbation is something that they can enjoy in a healthy way. And then give them the tools and the marketing that makes them feel that way.
Like what is the oldest customer that you have?
Like my grandma.
Did your grandmother really buy it?
Well, actually, my grandmother was one of the first people to buy one. So when you said oldest, I wasn't thinking age. I was thinking who was the first person to buy a sex toy. And my grandma was one of the first people on Indiegogo to buy a sex toy. But she also...
That is amazing. I love it.
She also very specifically told me she didn't use it.
She was think so? What did grandma do with it then?
I don't know.
Grandma's lying.
Maybe not. Whatever. I want her to have her own beautiful experiences behind closed doors and whatever that is. I don't need to know about it, but I secretly hope I'm giving her the tools to enjoy it fully.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think so. But we've had like a lot. I know, was it 1 year ago, 2 years ago? We were featured in the New York Times, and that month on our website for the whole month, our biggest revenue was 65 plus.
Wow.
65 plus. So I think what that speaks to is, generally our customers are 40 or 35 to 55. I would say that's probably our sweet spot. Married women are just twice as likely to have a vibrator. I think to know that they want to spend some money on a good vibrator versus, going into a gag shop and getting, the cheapest vibrator that they can, which is definitely where I started.
Likewise.
Yeah, and that was a great place to start. No qualms there, but we definitely focus on making quality products that are meant to last and be as safe for your body as possible, because sometimes those really cheap ones aren't those things.
Yeah.
So,
and I think too, like the whole process, like when I think back, like my first actual sex toy, I do believe I went to one of those CD stores.
I mean, how lucky are we that we felt okay to go into those stores?
Yeah, and like, because like now you have like the comfort of the internet, and it comes in discreet packaging. Like, I never really trusted that, even though the internet was there. Like, I still was like, you know what? I'm just gonna suck it up and go in one of these stores.
I think a lot of people feel that way. They're like, now what I hear is, even if it comes in really discreet packaging, I'm worried somebody else in my family is going to open it. Everybody gets so many Amazon packages that there's like this other thing where, actually going into a store, even though I have to look somebody in the eye to go through this experience, I'm going to be 100% sure what's going to happen, or people feel more secure there in some other way.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. And ultimately, I wish nobody felt, I don't know. I want to say I wish nobody ever felt embarrassed for buying a vibrator. But I also think acknowledging a personal sexual practice in front of your child or anybody that you're not sexually active with, I think that's beautifully embarrassing. I don't know how else to describe it, but like, I get that. It's like, yes, I don't want to always talk about my poop in front of everybody. But it's also human, and everybody does it.
Everybody
and it
does
makes you human, and it's beautiful. And it's okay to be a little embarrassed, and it's okay that happened to you. Like, I know for a fact that one time my little brother opened a Amazon package he wasn't supposed to open, and it was filled with things my dad was getting for my mom. And you know what? I mostly feel really blessed that they have that.
Yeah. And I do too, like, even, circling back to your, the older clientele, like, I think that's amazing, because I would still like to be having sex when I'm 65. So.
Totally.
Yes.
And I also think, you know what? I think that we can age really beautifully. And sometimes I think we're way more scared of old age than we need to be. But also, sometimes you need a little bit more hot sauce as you get older. And that's okay.
It's okay.
That's okay. Like, don't try. I'm trying not to hold on to how things were. Like, yeah, my knees hurt a little bit more, even though I'm only 30, but that's a thing.
It gets worse.
It's getting, doctors now just look at me and they're like, yep, your knees hurt. Yep.
Yeah. I did not believe it. I remember a few of my friends turned 30 a few years before I did. And when I did turn, they were just like, when you turn 30, shit just hurts. Things that never hurt or you couldn't do before, like, it's just way more painful. And I didn't get it. And with each year past 30, I'm like, fuck. This is what they were talking about. I get it. Yeah, it's totally terrible. But
it's not it's life.
No, it's not terrible. It's
I think the thing that shook me, though, I remember, was like my doctor just being like, yes, your knees hurt. And I was like, but what am I going to do about it? They were like, no. Yes, your knees hurt.
Yes, like
okay.
it's gonna happen.
Acceptance.
Like it's just the adjustment. Like
yeah,
we just went for my birthday in December, because this is gonna air later. We went to Amsterdam, and one night we got really fried, and we're in a club and we're dancing, and some song comes on, and I'm like jumping up and down for like 4 minutes straight. And I was like, I know I should stop, because tomorrow, that is the pain I'm going to feel. Not the drinks, not the weed. It's going to be, I jumped for the entire length of this song. And that's as soon as I put my feet down out of the bed the next morning, it was like all these cracks. Like, what were you doing to me last night? But yeah, it's like things like that where you're like, you can't do it anymore like you used to. Like 30 seconds of jumping, that is it.
Yeah. But I honestly, hearing that experience is making me like have FOMO. Like, so on the one side, like you hurt yourself, and on the other side, I'm like, oh, I want to do that. Like,
I would probably do it again, because it really made for some great stories. But yeah, the next mornings, you're like, oh God.
Us sex talkers, we're such hedonists,
Yes.
I love living my life. Like, I love enjoying every second of it. And I feel like I appreciate that in you.
Oh, thank you. I do. So before we move to the last part of the interview, I did want to talk about one kind of like real issue and I did not know if this was true or not, which you can't believe everything you read on the internet. You cannot advertise.
That's true.
That's insane.
So, well, okay. It's not that we can't advertise completely. Sorry, I cut you off there. But we really can't advertise, honestly, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any, like, on the internet. We can do like Google search ads. Like if you search the word vibrators, like I can advertise to you, but I can't.
But you can't do like a sponsored post on Instagram.
I think so. Right. I can't do a sponsored post on Instagram that pushes you to go to Dame Products.
That's insane to me.
I honestly, it's more insane than that. Like I feel like, especially recently, especially this past month, the internet has very much cracked down on what I'm going to go ahead and say are sex talkers, as well as very much sex workers as well. But anybody that's trying to have honest conversations about sex and sexuality, those words that they're using, like sex and vagina and penis and pleasure, whatever those words are, they're more likely to get flagged and removed from the internet. So, like, yes, I can't run ads, and I think that's problematic, because I think that my products supply a real value to a lot of people. I mean, to go to the more serious cases, like people who have cancer, who have disabilities, like tools can be very empowering or encouraging or reminding during those times. But also even just to anybody, even to somebody that, doesn't necessarily have an illness or a disease, these tools can still reduce stress, help you sleep, like we were talking about. There's a correlation between using a vibrator and just having a higher quality of life. There's a lot of just benefits to using a vibrator. But we're treated often like we're selling guns. I mean, like, we're in the same category often.
It's wild to me. Like, I read it and I was like, wait, are you? And then when I thought about it, I was like, you know what? For as much as, shit that I search on my phone and how these phones track everything and listen to everything, I literally typed earlier, like, I would love to have a Cartier love bracelet. Not that I can fucking afford one. I don't even know who would buy one for me. But all day long, I've been getting fed Cartier ads, right? And so for as much as I search about sex,
that's an experience, I guess.
Yeah, right. But it's like, as much as I search about sex and all this shit, I never fed any ads, which is what. And then I was like, that shit has to be true.
And that's very interesting, right? Because like, I'm not going to go ahead and say like advertising is amazing. Like, I think advertising is this experience in life that we do not consent to, but happens to us.
Yes.
With the idea that it's going to be helpful to you. And advertisers are trying to target people based on what they think you're going to want, which in some ways is good, some ways can be problematic. But ultimately, the people out there who want to make sex better, which I'm going to go ahead and say we need.
We do.
I think, like, real, is that not, like, do I need to say stats? Like, we need help when it comes to sex as a society. And the people who want to help that are being silenced or not being given the same platform for paid activism, if you will, for paid eyes and awareness. Like, and that's infuriating. You know, I feel like as a fairly privileged white girl, this would be the biggest experience I've had with personal, institutionalized ways, like this, a system holds me back in this really clear way. And that's been a very enlightening experience on a lot of levels. And I guess right now I'm actually feeling really almost grateful for it, because it's helped me realize all these small ways capitalism and industry and policies impact the world.
Yeah, especially when they're designed to have negative impact, right? So,
right.
Yes.
And especially in the ways that the people, or for me, in my experience, I feel like the people I'm talking to really feel also like they're like, no, you don't understand. Erectile dysfunction is a health problem. And that's why that's okay. And you're just a sex toy. Like, they feel like when people explain it to me, like, about why their advertisement's okay, I can tell that they really believe that. And I don't know. It's so, and I can have compassion for where they're coming from and understanding, but ultimately, like, when I apply logic to the situation, it seems very untrue. Like, that's not more important. Like, we can't say that it's important to have sex and it's not important to enjoy sex. Like, that seems problematic for anybody with a vagina.
Yeah. I'm sitting here nodding, but you can't see me.
I feel the affirmation. And I don't think, it's funny because I'm like really appreciating your head nods, even though now I can't see them, but I'm feeling that. It's just hard, or I don't remember what I'm saying now. I'm just like loving the head nods.
But it's fine.
Thanks.
So before we wrap up, I do this segment on the podcast called The Breakdown. And so I'm going to say one word, and you say the first thing that comes to mind. It can be a word, a phrase, sound, whatever. Okay?
Let's do it.
First one, orgasms.
Enlightenment. Like, feel it. Enlightenment. That's what came to mind.
Lube.
Slippery.
Money.
Power.
Kegels.
Power.
Nightstand.
Secrets.
Pleasure.
Power. But I think I'm on a power train right now.
You are.
Power.
Last one. Intensity.
Calmness.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I want you to tell everyone where they can find you, the products on the internet and social media.
I just want to say, if you're listening to this podcast, this is an amazing podcast. And what you should do is review this podcast right now.
Come on.
And share it with your friends. That's what I want to take to do. Okay, it's dameproducts.com. That's what we're called. Check us out. I love what we're doing, and I hope you share that as well. But also, this was fun conversation, or we had fun, right?
45 minutes went so fast.
I think this was a 5-star conversation.
I think so too. So do that. You go over in the purple app, Apple Podcasts, hit 5 stars, type a little review, and then head on over to dameproducts.com.
Yeah.
I personally like the Eva. Like I said, I have to get the Eva too, and I want to try the Palm.
Let's make a discount code.
Oh, let's do it. You want to do Boonie?
What do you want it to be? Boonie.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to make a discount code for Boonie for 15% off our any product.
Awesome. Yay. Look at that. So go buy.
Go buy.
I'm telling you, you'll enjoy.
I agree. It's hard not to enjoy something that vibrates on your clitoris.
Totally, right? So thank you again so much, Al, for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you again to Alex of Dame Products for coming on the podcast. You know, I really enjoyed our conversation, and I love any conversation I can have when I can connect with someone over vibrators, okay? Like I said, this episode was responsible and ratchet, and we truly lived up to that. And don't forget, because Alex is so dope, she gave us a coupon code. Use your code Boonie to save 15% off your order over at dameproducts.com. Like I said, the products are Boonie approved. I'm going to be grabbing me a Palm because I really wanted to get my hands on one of those. The link to shop is in the show notes. Okay, guys? So make sure you use code Boonie. And if you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to listen and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or any app that you listen to your favorites on, okay? Be like Alex. Do what Alex says. Go hit those 5 stars and leave a review too. You might just hear your review on the next episode. Follow us on all social media. Share the episode with those you love, those you don't love, those you fucking hate. Don't make these pretty images and audiograms for nothing, okay? Have a dope ass week. Thank you for listening. And remember, the ratchet in me always honors the ratchet in you. Namaste. Until next time.